This is The Heat Source, the podcast where we learn everything we can about hot sauce, one bottle at a time. We're your hosts, Mike and Matt, and today we're joined by Cast Iron Kyle to talk hot sauce festivals. Let's heat up! Welcome back to The Heat Source, where we learn about new sauces weekly, one bottle at a time. This week, we're joined by a guest who's been featured on Bon Appetit, had Brad Leone follow him around as a local legend, and you can hear him on the Full Slice podcast. But today, we'll be diving into this upcoming Hot Sauce Festival events. We're joined by Cast Iron Kyle Seip.
What's up, guys?
How's it going?
Good, man. It's been a while. Haven't seen you since, what was that, August, I guess?
Yeah,
Philly?
August last year, the Philly Hot Sauce Show. I mean, it was a great event, but yeah, we never really got to touch base to recap about that one.
Yeah, you guys have been doing all kinds of stuff. You guys have been doing all kinds of episodes and stuff. I'm not surprised that you didn't have a second to sit down and talk about it.
It gets difficult when you look at the stockpile of hot sauces that just pile up where you're like, I need to review this one. And when you only do a weekly podcast, you kind of look and you go, all right, I've got 72 weeks of podcasts ready.
You have a car payment worth of hot sauce, 72-month payment. Yeah,
I think I got to do. I've seen a couple podcasters say like, oh, just do like a 30-day challenge or something. I think I need to do like a 30-day challenge where Mike and I just review once a day and just churn it out and be like, that's what's got to happen, because I'm worried that I'm going to run out of the sauces. Not that they're going to run out, but they're going to be too far gone where it's like, hey, you shouldn't have opened that bottle from, an aged hot sauce.
Yeah, so like, we don't even make that one anymore.
they're like, thanks for marketing that, but we discontinued that.
Oh, the first Boston show that I went to, I got sauce from Barry's Hot Sauce, and then they closed up shop. They said, I mean, not because they were struggling, they just decided to move on to the next venture. And I'm sitting there going, well, I'm not gonna feel the need to review these, so I just started cracking them open and trying them because they're so good. But I'm like, it's kind of a tease to go, hey, this is a review. This is a 10 out of 10 hot sauce. You can't get it. It doesn't exist anymore. So
it's got to suck.
So I'll sell off by the ounce my bottle, and I'll send little vials through the mail.
Did you
My
guys?
brother-in-law does that with beer.
Oh yeah, if you do a beer a day, that's easy. You could do 5 a day of that. That's nothing. Yeah. I think when I first got into this hot sauce thing, what I did was I sent out a DM to like a group chat thing for hot sauce, and I was like, hey, like, check out my Instagram if you're interested in sending some hot sauce. I'd love to review it. It turned into like 150 sauces, and I was all of a sudden looking, my whole table was full, and I was like, what the fuck? And I didn't want to do, like, I looked at it, I was like, I'm going to be retired before I do this if I do it every week. So I told Christy, I was like, let's make a separate Instagram. I make a wing, put sauce on it, eat it, review it, and then bank the content. Yeah. And then Instagram flagged it because it was not like a paid promo thing. Like, I wasn't putting paid promo on the reel, even though it wasn't paid. And I wound up. Yeah, I
saw that on, because I was following that page, and then I remember you talking about that, and I was like, I mean, are we going to get in trouble? Because we post a bunch of stuff where we're not getting paid by anybody.
Yeah, they changed it since then. The algorithm's all different, but it just sucked because when they think you're doing something that you're paid and you're not telling people that you're paid, they pull it right out of the algorithm, and it might as well not even do it. It would be like, average was like 2,000 to 3,000 views on something, and then as soon as I started getting the strikes, it was like 200, 300, and it really, like, it fucked with my credibility, and also, like, I felt like I was doing an injustice to these sauces. So I was like, let's just move everything over to Cast Iron Kyle. We'll put a wall right now, so anything beyond this is going to have to be paid content. We'll put paid promo. Gave like super reasonable prices, like 3 videos for like $350, like nothing. You know what I mean? Yeah. So it's like, it really helped a lot of small brands. I was really happy to have the opportunity to do that. But dude, you coming to Boston, or you coming to Philly last year, meant a lot to us because you're not close to Philly.
No, it was a fun trip, and I would definitely do it again. This year I wasn't prepared for it's changed up to March this year.
Yeah, we'll get into that.
And we'll talk about that, but it was a really fun experience from the whole weekend because I flew in, I immediately, first I set up my home base where I was going to stay, which was a hot sauce factory, a Hot Box Philly, which is Pickle Monster and Faya, sleeping on their couch in a hot sauce factory, which people are like, oh, why didn't you stay? Like you even said like, oh, I got a couch, you can crash here. And I'm like,
dude, I have like 2 extra bedrooms.
I'm like, no, this is an experience. I slept in a hot sauce factory for the weekend. And
You
then
pretend to be homeless for the week.
yeah, it was great. Other than Roddy from Fire was like, yep, make yourself a home. Don't leave and go out there to get food. Have it delivered. I'm like, why? What's the worst that can happen? And yeah,
Not that neighborhood.
I did drive through, and it was like I felt a little uneasy, but I survived.
That's not a super. That's Port Richmond area, I guess it would be, or I don't know what's. I know where it is. I just don't know the specific name of the section.
Regardless, it was. So I did that. Went out to your house to do the judging.
How'd you like that? That was fun. I thought
it was really fun. I appreciated all the snacks that were laid out, the chips and Mike's got the back scratcher from the
the RAS process equipment back scratchers.
Yeah, right. I think I was sitting at work one day trying to reach my back, and Matt's like, "Oh, I got something for you," and he pulls out the extendable back scratcher. I'm like, "Where the hell did you get that?" He's like, "Kyle's judging."
Yeah.
Well, it was a pen. It's a pen too on the other side,
right.
so I thought it would.
He's never used that pen. It's only been back scratched.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever used the pen either. I fuck with my cat with it, but I think the other thing I had, Liquid Death sent some stuff over, I remember, and then I messaged Tic Tac. I was like, look, we're going to do this judging. Like, let's see if we can cool everybody off with mints. They sent me like 500 boxes of Tic Tacs. My whole garage, like I had, if you look at a box of Tic Tacs, it's like this, right? Like a little tiny thing.
Yeah.
It sent me like a foot long by foot, like, I'm like, I'll die before I eat all these Tic Tacs. So I'm like, what am I going to do with them? So I put them out, and I thought that worked. I thought that was a decent.
I thought it was great. I liked the diversity of the judges. Like you could very easily kind of have a very set click group of judging where it's like, all right, they're all kind of in the same realm, but that you had reviewers, you had chefs, you had everyday, like I think you had radio, like the radio hosts. You had people of radio. So you had people where it's like different tolerances, different experience with hot sauce, which I think is important because you can't.
It is very important.
If everybody is just like a very elite, like I only want the most sophisticated sauce. It's like there are good. We love very classic vinegar based sauces too. They're all different, and so you get a lot of wide ranging picks with that. So I thought it was a fun experience. The tricky thing was, you guys did a very good job, but it was like disguising the bottles because some of those you see the bottle shape, you see the cap, and you're like, I know that one.
It's the biggest the most stressful part. I wish you one of these events you'll have to come out and check it out, Mike. The way that we're going to judge it from now on. We used to do it like we would put tape over the label and like lay it all out, but you're literally playing with 50, 60 sauces. This sauce is in 4 categories. This sauce is in 3 categories. So I'm trying to do all that. I'm drunk and high, whatever. And I'm trying to figure it all out, trying to get pizza delivered to the house. The local pizza place sponsored us because they're always like, what do you have going on? Like they're so supportive. And I was like, wait, I got something cool coming on. Hold on. So we got pizza and I'm trying to coordinate all that stuff. So I said, this year, you remember Bob from Tabletop Trio that was on the end of the table?
Yeah.
He's going to handle the judging now. And I'm going to do the Skillet Awards still, but he's going to handle all the judging. We're going to do the podcasting thing. And I know that Philly is going to be the end of March. It's the last weekend in March. It's actually March 29th and 30th.
Okay.
We moved it up this year because August – dude, it was hot. Let's be honest. It was hot. We're in the backside of a brewery, great location, but it was hot. And I mean, for you guys, it was probably even hotter because you're used to your summers for you are what, like 60?
Yeah, I like the good weather where I'm wearing shorts and a sweatshirt. And so like when I think we have 40-degree weather right now, and I'm just like, ooh, it's toasty. We're getting nice and warm. Like it's great now.
I had the windows cracked yesterday driving around.
Did you?
I drove with the windows down. My dogs loved it today. My dog figured out how to automatic open the door or the window though. So I was driving and telling him like, why is the window all the way open? And she's a half Great Pyrenees, so she's big. And I'm like, I don't need a giant polar bear jumping out of the car, going down the street. So I started yelling at her like she was my kid, and the dog's just like, what are you talking? I'm just like, hey, stop. Like, what are you doing? So she almost got a great escape there, but it was nice and sunny today.
I'm just glad that we had a spot we could do it. The house that we were renting before we bought this place, Me and Christy barely fit in it. It was like, a little 600 square foot spot. We would have never been able to do it. So I'm just happy to have had that little spot to do it.
Yep.
Um, but if I know that Philly's coming up soon, but I'd love for you guys to come to Boston because this year it's going to be at a brewery that I never. It was like my goal to go to Trillium Brewing with the
Hmm.
festival like 4 years ago. That was like, all right, we got to do this, then we got to do this, then we got to do this, and then maybe at this point we'll get to Trillium. They wanted to see numbers and right attendance. We could probably fit 40, 50 vendors there. It could be the
Yeah.
biggest show that we do on the East Coast. So I don't know, um, if you guys could both come.
When is the Boston one again?
So Boston is going to be
4/26.
the 26th and a
Okay.
rain date of the 27th. So it would be even easier if you guys fly out on a Friday night, do the session on Saturday. You could fly back Saturday night, fly back Sunday if you want. But so Trillium's like third in the country on Untapped, which is like a nationally ranked thing. I mean, we got into a little bit
Hmm.
before Mike hopped on. I don't know if you're a beer guy, but Trillium's big like all over the country. They're very hard to get
Mhm.
outside of the Boston area unless they're on distro. But we used to trade that shit like crazy. I used to die if I got my hands on Trillium like 10 years ago. It was like a holy grail. Like I'd have, it got to nerddom where I was like, all right, this can't, I would look at it like it was like a I'm like, I have to be watching a good football game or like, I got to bring this to the racetrack. Like it was like a special thing. And to be able to get to the point where we're at Trillium, it's going to be it's going to be a content farm. There's probably 1,000 people there just drinking beer.
Yeah.
It's wild. It's huge.
Well, did you do any like the pre-show stuff at Trillium in previous events? I feel
We
like
did.
okay, because I thought I
Yes.
remember hearing about it because I'm like I know haven't had the beer, but I'm like the name sounded
Yeah.
real familiar. So
That was not last year, the year before that.
mhm.
We've talked extensively about how I got salmonella and left home, but that Friday night, dude, I was in the tomb, dude. I was ripped. So they opened. It was a little too early for them in the season to open the rooftop because it was in Boston proper.
Okay.
There's multiple Trilliums. The one we're doing for Boston is in a town called Canton, so it's like a farm setting, a big field, big parking lot, free parking, everything. But we did the pre-party a few years ago in the city of Boston, and I didn't know there was multiple Trilliums. So there was like three different pre-part. The Grams went to a different Trillium, and this guy went to another. There was like three other pre-parties, but they opened the roof for us once we all figured out where we were going, and it was really cool to sit and drink beer with all these hot sauce makers without a show going on. Because when they're slinging sauce and doing the show, it's all this and that.
Yeah.
But when you're not worried about slinging sauce, Ron from Hell's Kitchen was telling stories, man. It was a good time, and I want you to come out and check it out, Mike. I want you to get out here if you can. It'd be
for
really
sure.
fun. Both of you guys. I mean,
I feel like the Trillium, like when you went to like a few different locations, I once figured it out. I'm like, they must be like, oh, there's a flash mob attacking all Trilliums at once. Just send like batches of people to all three, and it's like
Yeah.
it's a tri-state.
It was War of the Worlds.
Yeah.
But
It's a
they were
three-point
they're
attack.
really cooperative with doing this. They're very excited. The social media and marketing backing that lacked in years prior with
Mhm.
other festivals, we actually got that tenfold with Trillium. They have like 250,000 followers, which is really awesome. But they also have. They also understand that they have a vested interest in the success of the festival because they sell 2.5 to 3 times the amount of beer on the festival. That's the
Yeah.
calculation we came up with. 2 to 3 times the beer sales is worth it alone to host the festival. So they're like, hell yeah, let's do it. So as cool of a spot as Harpoon was, it's nice to get a little bit more help on this side of things. So if you guys can swing it, the Airbnbs outside of Boston proper are very affordable. I think the one we found is like 160 a night for like 6 people. It was crazy.
Yeah, I'll have to do some figuring out and see the logistics of it because there are times where I've done this. Albuquerque, the Fiery Food Show in Albuquerque, I did last year, but in other years past, I was like, all right, I've got it down to like $120 for me to go, and then Mike's like, oh, me and Courtney can do that too, and I'm like, well, first of all, you take a red eye in, you drive from Denver, you buy the cheapest car, you sleep on a bed in someone's garage, and then you're there.
Pick us up,
Yeah, like I had this whole thing where I'm like the most hobo, have the stick in the stick with all my stuff on it, and I'm just like, you might want to do a little bit higher level than what I'm doing, but I'm like, the best way to figure out like, okay, the least expensive, the most efficient, but I wouldn't mind even if it's just like get in Friday night, get to the event, get out of there either Saturday or Sunday. Like as long as it doesn't take up too much of the weekend, it makes it easy, or too much of the work week around it. It makes it easier to legitimize and figure that out.
I'd give yourself the Monday buffer in case it does rain, because we have that Sunday rain date, and that's happening regardless. If it rains on Sunday, like we're still doing something,
Yeah.
So there's going to be so many great brands there that I feel like you could get your hands on their sauces, no problem.
Sure.
But I feel like for you guys, it would be really cool for you both to be there, and you could almost like, how we had the podcast booth in Philly, Matt?
Yeah, it was great.
We're going to do that in Boston. So like you guys could come and say, hey, can we have an hour or hour and a half at like noon? We want to sit down with Boom Boom Boom. Be like, all right, no problem. And then if Boom 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 wants to sit down with Full Slice or Tabletop or whatever, I think having the podcast present there is very good for the vendors.
Sure.
Because number one, it's a win-win for everybody, because you're getting a shitload of content that you're talking about anyway, but you're up in person with these people. And we're trying to figure out what the hell we even talk about on Full Slice. We're so all over the place with things we talk about.
We never go on tangents on this podcast.
Yeah, I know, right, dude? Your Instagram posts are hilarious. You're like leapfrog, gummy bears, hungry hippos. We did talk about hot sauce, and then we found out something cool about ducks.
Funny you should mention hungry hippos. This last Sunday, my family did the family division human size hungry hippos at the ice rink downtown.
What is that?
Funny.
So you have teams of 6, you have inner tubes attached to ropes, you sling a person out on the inner tube to the center of the ice where ball pit balls are sitting in the middle. You have a laundry basket, and you grab as many as you can, bring them back, put them in your other basket, and then sling the kid out there again to get more. We were terrible, but it was fun.
It's just a legal way to throw
kids accidentally get rid of a kid.
They had the biggest thing was other teams came much more prepared and knew the full extent of the rules. So you can wear like the spikes on your shoes to help you like with traction. And we thought that you could only have 2 adults. It was minimum of 2. So there were 3-man teams, so you had 2 people running in spikes to push them out, and then 1 anchor pulling the rope back in. It was just me and Angela whipping them out there like with one arm, trying to hold steady, standing on ice with just boots on. It was fun. But next year we're gonna try to make it to the second round. Where was this at? So it's in Grand Rapids. They've done it for like 8 or 9 years. This is only the second year we've done it. I think the last time we did it, none of our kids were born.
How can I sponsor an inner tube?
I'll keep you posted. We'll get t-shirts. They do give you like hungry hippo t-shirts, but we'll get like extra badges to wear. But no, it's human hungry hippos. Yeah, Rosa Park Circle is the ice rink downtown.
Rosa Park Circle, that's cool.
Yeah.
All right. I gave to a little league team this year, and I was like, maybe we should just keep the sponsorship silent, because I don't want any of these kids looking on my Instagram page, because I curse, or like I don't want any of these kids listening to Full Slice. It's funny, I got this like 1980s Gravedigger hat. We just did a whole Full Slice episode on the technology of monster trucks. I was like, fuck yeah, I love that.
Oh yeah, my son and I are gonna go to Monster Jam 2 weeks. I think 2 weeks from now they're in Grand Rapids, so we're gonna be at Monster Jam. Yeah,
dude, get some footage, man. Gravedigger's retired, the original guy that runs I don't know if it's just nerddom or like full obsession, or if I'm undiagnosed, but dude, monster trucks, I could buy the little cars, I could just play with them, I could watch Monster Jam, I could put on a 4-hour monster truck video and be like, this is fucking awesome.
So
probably like 25% of my YouTube time is spent watching like Thunder Nationals highlights.
Yes, dude.
I've got a bunch of like signed Gravedigger stuff at my parents' house in a box somewhere, because I used to go to those all the time. I love Gravedigger.
I just found 2 autographed Gravedigger hats at Goodwill, dude, and I'm like, these are the youth hats. They don't even fit me. I bought them. What did I buy them for? The fucking dogs? Like I don't even know why I bought them.
So I'm like,
Gravedigger on them. I gotta get them.
I think Mason's got Gravedigger's probably in his top 3, but he also loves Megalodon because he's a big shark guy.
Dude, sharks rule. Sharks are cool too. That's a whole different level of
the monster truck coming through. That's just a full on shark with the fin in the mouth and all that. That one usually gets him sold every time. So we've gone to, I think we've seen 1 or 2 other shows. And so we just keep going back. And before my son was born, never really thought about it as much. And now I'm like, yeah, let's go again.
It's crazy how advanced it's gotten. Because like I remember, like it was cool when I was a kid. It was definitely cool. I got out of it for a few years, and I'm like, I'm gonna catch one of these. And all of a sudden, they're doing like double backflips now, and I'm like, what have I missed? I missed a couple years,
front, like just like inching up on the front.
Yeah,
like
exactly. It's like
if
you
you
popped a
don't
wheelie
stick in it, you're losing it. You're missing out. There's like we kind of deep dove, like kind of how you guys do here. We kind of went on like a tangent and then just got like super deep into it.
Mm-hmm.
We got into like the science of the suspension and like the air shocks and the nitrogen shocks and the liquid shocks. And I'm like, this is crazy. Like, who's going to listen to this? And then I reached out to the guy that does the mechanics and stuff for Gravedigger.
Mm-hmm.
And it turned into who does all the paint work and blah, blah, blah. Turns out, all right, this is something that is so wild. Turns out my friend's wedding, his dad is best friends with the guy that paints Gravedigger. I sat one table over for him and didn't even know. Thank God for him, I didn't know, because that night would have been ruined for him.
Yeah.
Like, remember when you painted Monster Mutt's name on one of the tombstones? That was awesome. I would have turned into Chris Farley in a heartbeat, dude. I would have nerded out.
Yeah, that's insane though, the serendipitous of how it's just like, oh yeah, he was right there. Like whenever you see those stories of like a photo where it's like, oh, that was this person in the background. You didn't know that person existed until 20 years later. So that is pretty crazy.
It's funny how that stuff lines up. Like my buddy Phil and I went over to we went to the New York City Hot Sauce Festival. High River Sauces hosts that, and he's like, I want to go, but I want to make sure I get in early. Like he had a lot of experience with New York. I've been in New York a couple dozen times. We used to go in and ride our bikes and shit. But he's like, if I go, I want to go early. So we go early, and there's no one in the city. It felt weird. It felt like a Will Smith movie. There was like cabs and just us. There was nothing.
Yeah.
And we're walking down the street, and I said, I want to see Rockefeller Plaza. I've never been there. I've seen the tree, but I've never seen like, where they shoot Saturday Night Live and Fallon and all this shit. So we walk up to the building, and there's a cop right outside the main entrance to Rockefeller Plaza.
Mm-hmm.
And we said, hey, can we grab a picture? He's like, I don't work for them. Go ahead and do whatever you want. And I went up and touched the door, and it was opened. It was unlocked. I was like, what the fuck? Like, we just went in. I'm like, can we go in there? He's like, I don't work for them. Go ahead and do what you want. So we're like, all right. So we walk in Rockefeller Plaza. I'm like, holy shit, that's where they shoot Saturday Night Live. That's where they shoot Fallon. It was completely wide open. My friend Bill's like, is this just how you live your life? You just go and do whatever you want? I'm like, dude, we asked the cop. 2 minutes later, the cop comes running in the building. He goes, I'm on camera talking to you guys before you went in the building. If anything happens, I'm going to get in trouble. And he said, you got to get out. So we left. And it turns out 10 minutes, 10, maybe 15 minutes later, the king and queen of Turkey were in town because there was some World Health Conference or whatever. Mm-hmm. They were staying at Rockefeller Plaza. So they had the door unlocked so that they could pull up the car, get out of the car, and go right in the building. We missed them by like 10 seconds. It would have been sick.
They didn't have like pre-security stage there.
I know, dude. Crazy. We were a bunch of white dudes in basketball shorts and Crocs in New York City. We were totally suspects.
They did like a full sweep where they're like, all right, we're doing a full sweep going through. And they're like, all right, I think it's all clear. And they look behind us. They're like, who are those guys?
Guy in the Gravedigger hat. Guy in the Gravedigger hat. Go get
You're just behind them like clapping, be like, good work, boys. You did it.
Yeah.
It's like...
We had backpacks on because I told my friend Phil, I was like, do not come empty-handed. If you're going to buy hot sauce, the last thing you want to do is carry 15 bottles of hot sauce from Brooklyn all the way back to Midtown to catch the train to New Jersey. So bring a backpack. So the next thing, we walk down. I'm not a big politics guy. I don't get into it at all. But we were walking towards Central Park, and there's all these fucking cop cars and like secret security around Trump Plaza. I'm like, well, I guess the big dog's in town, so we gotta, walk by there. So I stood and I just took a picture, and instantly, it had to have been Secret Service. Guy comes up, he's like, hey, so what are you guys doing in the city so early there with your backpacks and bleachy legs? What are you guys, we were instantly suspects, right? So he's like, we're like, yeah, we're going to the Hot Sauce Festival in Brooklyn. He's like, Brooklyn's that way. I'm like, oh yeah, it is. And I just looking up at the buildings, like there's definitely a sniper, like guy in the Gravedigger hat. Like again, like we're instantly suspects, and all we're doing is trying to fucking look where hot sauce takes us, boys. Here's your reel, okay? Hot sauce can take you into the eyes of the Secret Service and almost bump you into the king and queen of Turkey by accident where they shoot Saturday Night Live.
They're like, oh, they're doing a laser show. Look at all the red dots all over the place.
Yeah. Oh, fuck. It's like right over my chest.
That's crazy. I've the New York City show is on my bucket list of shows. There's obviously shows I want to return to, but of the ones I haven't attended yet, that one, Bowers just seems like a super unique one. Portland, I've heard, is
Dude,
incredible.
Bowers is fucking wild.
Yeah.
And if you go to that, I would figure out getting like one of those medium flat rate postal boxes if it fits at ships kind of thing.
Yeah.
And you go up to the U-Pick farm, and it's literally the people that host the festival own the same property where a lot of these sauce makers get peppers from this Amish farm. You go up and there's just acres and acres of U-Pick peppers.
Okay.
It's where John got all the white habaneros for the white habanero shiitake mushroom sauce we did together.
Okay.
But there's exotic peppers that I hadn't even heard of a couple, and I try to grow peppers I've never heard of every year. And it was those Amish boys know how to throw down in the pepper world.
Yeah. No, that's one of them that I've heard stories and yeah, that'd be a bucket list. I don't know, Mike, what's left on your bucket list of hot sauce shows you haven't attended yet?
All of them.
You got to do Philly.
Other than Illinois. Illinois is the only one that you've attended so far.
I got to come out to you guys. Is there anything out by you guys?
So,
Matt, what was the one this past weekend?
Heatwave Expo was last weekend in London, Ontario.
That was by you guys?
Yeah, it's only 4.5 hours from us.
It's not bad. It's in Canada.
Only okay. I'm on East Coast. If it's more than a half hour, I gotta think it over.
Well, we're on the west side of Michigan, so you have to go all the way through Detroit. So you have to go through the Thumb, and then it's just an hour into Canada, I think.
Yeah.
So
that's close.
Okay.
That one we've mentioned it. We've talked about it like a couple years in a row now, and every time this one just crept up on us. Like I wasn't really focused on doing any shows the first like 2-3 months of the year, just kind of reset and figure out a plan for the rest of the year. And Thursday I texted Mike and I'm like, so we not going to the show on Saturday? He's like, dude, is that this weekend? I'm like, I didn't know either. I lost track of it. I've got a calendar with all the events that I'm aware of, and I try to update the dates as they announce them. Like I messaged Steve Seabury to find out when the Illinois show is, because that's right around my birthday, and I always try to go like when Angela's like, what do you want to do for your birthday? I'm like, well, this weekend's reserved for something else. I don't want to. And I've invited her. I'm like, you guys can all come to the hot sauce show, and she's like, that's your thing. You're good. You can go do it. Have fun. But the Illinois show is the big one closest to us. That one's down in Joliet, Illinois. There's a couple in Ohio. There's the Weekend of Fire at Jungle Gyms in Cincinnati.
That's the one I want to do. Whenever that is, coordinate with me. I'll fly out for that, and we could do that together if you want. We could sit down and do a
that one's in the
content.
fall. What's that?
Did you hear they're expanding Jungle Gyms by 15 acres?
No, I didn't, but I'm excited now.
Yeah, that's huge. I was talking to a couple coworkers about it. They live down in that area, and they're like, "Oh yeah, they're going to expand Jungle Gyms by 15 acres."
That's like, just the toothpaste department. That's only that section.
I heard that place is wild, and I got to get out.
Mike got lost. Mike got lost in there.
I believe it. Being in the hot sauce world, I get invites to a lot of things. I'm very lucky for that. I'm very fortunate to have people say, "Hey, come out and stay with us," or "Come out and we got an extra camper." Like I'm like, hold on. I was like, I'm lucky and I'm happy about it. But Jungle Gyms is when I get hit like a dozen people. Like, dude, you have to come out and see this, because people that know me know I'm a big grocery store guy. If there's a new grocery store, I'm gonna go catch a glimpse. I got to go figure it out.
Yeah,
This is the grocery store. There's no other grocery store. There's Jungle Gyms.
So growing up, I went to there's a grocery store locally here that's called Big Top Market, and it's themed after a circus. It's got the red and white striped roof. It's got, you go in, you can get free popcorn. It's got clowns as like the logos for some of the stuff. And I thought that was the coolest thing. That is a freckle compared to what Jungle Gyms is as far as insanity. And it's Costco. It's like Costco meets Chuck E. Cheese meets acid trip meets a carnival. Like all these things.
It's Willy Wonka's chocolate factory.
And we were just we just went there.
Do you guys know Hot Sauce Mike, the buyer for Jungle Gyms?
So I know. I haven't really interacted with him directly, but I've seen his content. I've watched the interviews. He did a Flavor Balance Heat podcast. He did an interview with them. And I see his posts that he does on the For the Love of Hot Sauce group, but also just in general. And I didn't realize for the first like 6 months or so, I didn't realize that he worked at Jungle Gyms, where he was there. And I'm just like, we probably saw him when we went there. But
Yeah, I did a live with him. He was in the parking lot. I'm like, dude, that's fucking nuts.
it's also kind of cheating where it's like you have the most access to hot sauce. Like the hot sauce collection at Jungle Jim's, we were there. I mean, Mike's been to that twice where I'm like, hey, just read off some of the sauces and we'll figure out what I want you to buy. And he's like, I need you to narrow that down.
Yeah.
He had me read
Seriously.
off. We're like 20, 30 minutes into just one section. And
like the B's.
I'm like, Matt, we're like into the letter B right now because it's all alphabetized.
Yeah.
Is it? Okay, yeah. I know probably, I'm not even exaggeration, 50 vendors that send their shit out there.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's unbelievable.
They have so much, they even have like a full-on adult X-rated section.
Yep.
I'm sure they do. I mean, if they have
just of hot sauce, X-rated adult hot sauce only. Like it's not even all the other content, which is weird.
Me and John from White House Station, we were just talking about that, like how people use, like it's kind of weird if you're new to the hot sauce world, treading the line between marketing versus reading the ingredient list. So it's like you'll see a hot sauce and it'll have this really cool marketing, it'll have this really neat artwork, neat name, and then you look at the ingredients, you're like, oh my god, that's like fertilizer, that's like chemicals and shit, you know what I mean? And the simplest, like John's labels are so simple, but there's like 6-7 things in the hot sauces, no preservatives, no nothing. That's some of the best sauces you can get, and you wouldn't even know that unless you tasted it, you know what I mean?
Yeah, no, absolutely. Sorry, I got a little distracted. My daughter decided we're on headphones so she can't hear anything we say, which is good, but she's right over my shoulder like a parrot.
All right, so she can't hear anything?
She can't hear any of the stuff. It's all on headphone.
Okay.
So just so you don't get thrown off. Although if she does pop up on video, it'll be like, do I say this? There's a child staring right into my soul.
Have a set of eyes behind you.
Dude, I like the pegboard though. I dig that, man. That's cool.
Yeah, so I set this all up because I was like, all right, let's put some shelves, put some hot sauce up, put some random stuff. I got some dinosaurs right here for Mike.
Megalodon monster truck right above your head.
Yep. Yeah, I got all this stuff, and then Angela took a picture. She's like, I got to send someone a picture. This is ridiculous. And I'm like, this isn't even like half of the sauce we have.
Dude. You want to see ridiculous.
And then if she's like, what? I'm like, I shouldn't have said anything. Never mind. Like it's fine because I've got 2 boxes over there of sauce too that we got to go through. But I try to have a decent amount of variety. I've got White House Station is I think right there. We got the Carolina Reaper White House Station with the jersey.
Is that the Blood of the Baron?
It's the one that's got it's the outline of the jersey with like the no. Oh yeah, it's that one.
Yeah.
Boop. Yeah. So hold on, we gotta adjust here. But
yeah, I like it.
But yeah, so slowly but surely we'll get the setup going.
Okay.
But yeah, I'm trying to add as much variety. I've got some antlers, which actually are my grandpa's. Mike's the hunter, but I've got the antlers on the wall here.
Yeah, that's right, Mike. You're the hunter, dude. That's cool. There's a couple. Did we get into the whole meat eater thing with the picture of Babe Ruth on here, or was that a different time?
No, I think we did.
No, we did.
We did. Dude, how wild! They're doing that trivia thing again, and I'm like, dude, that picture. I still think about that, and I'm like, why did I give that away? I gave it to Brad Leone, so that's a really good reason to give that away.
I just cracked open Meat Eater's barbecue sauce because
how was that? I want to get my hands on that.
It's really good. So it's got good smoke. It's more molasses flavored. So I would like throw that on ribs and
yeah.
I had that barbecue sauce, and my dad got me Zarda's barbecue sauce, which is more for chicken, and it was a spicy.
Where are they from?
I think they're.
I want to get a barbecue sauce festival going.
The Zarda's one, I'm trying to remember where he went to get that. It might have been Illinois, somewhere in the out of state.
Right.
But that one was good. That one, more for chicken. The other one was more molasses based.
I'll follow them.
Which I liked a lot. I've got the Meat Eater hot sauce. We haven't cracked that open. I want to get. So my buddy Mark gave me the barbecue sauce and the hot sauce, and I'm like, well, when I crack open the hot sauce, we'll have to have him on as a guest, and that was like a year and a half ago. So I gotta get that into gear.
I still have yet to try. What did we talk about last time when we were on the Crushers?
Oh, Crushers truck sauce. Yep.
Yeah, Michael, you were going on. You were going on and on about that, right?
Their honey habanero was really good because it's not as honey as like a Mike's hot honey. It's more kind of a balance between the two of hot sauce and honey. But that one, I was throwing that on breakfast, like on my toast and waffles and all that. I didn't put it on this round, but we're doing the not ones videos, the hot
That's a
ones.
great idea too, by the way. That is that's some using the old hat hanger there, boy.
I was waiting to get a message from Hot Ones. It's like, it's a little too close, guy, but I haven't gotten that. I'd be like, I'd love it because I'd be like, hey, they reached out to us. They told us to stop it. It's
Sean
fantastic.
Evans, dude, as soon as you, dude, when me and Tyler got a couple cease and desists from Full Slice, we were like, yes, people are listening. Yeah.
Yeah, that's so those I've at first I was like, oh, do I have like a top 10 lineup for that? Now I'm like, well, now I have a round two because Mike even mentioned he's like, I want to include not to give away too many sauces, but he's like, oh, we got to get crack sauce on that list. And I'm like,
Yeah.
we'll do another round. We'll get crack sauce in there. But also Brian Ams put a comment on there. He's like, this is a great idea. And I'm like, when Brian Ams thinks it's a great idea, that's a sign because he's a content killer as far as hot sauce and YouTube.
Brian's a good guy.
He
I did a live.
he
I didn't know how deep he was in skateboarding too, man. He's like,
yeah, I was like, it's
Shopping out.
yeah, it's like you know him as the hot sauce guy, and then there's this whole other side where you're like, oh, how's that going? Oh, really, really good. It's kind of one of my main components of my career. It's like, oh, good for you. Good job.
Like,
Keep reviewing hot sauce. He did just recently. I don't know if I told you, Mike. He did a rating of all the grocery store hot sauces. He did like
Cholula and stuff, right?
No, I didn't know about that one.
Yeah, I saw that and I was like, that's a good idea. We got to revisit those old sauces at some point. So
yeah, he's pretty good. Brian Ames was a fun. We did so. John had the idea for Philly last year or for Boston last year. He was like, let's get some judges like from somewhere else that aren't even coming to the festival. I'm like, all right, that's fine, whatever. Let's do it. Who do you have in mind? And we did actually Hot Sauce Mike, and then we did Brian Ames. So it was pretty cool to get those guys involved. I'd love for them to get out here. I think I might approach them to come out to Trillium because that's going to be a big one. There's going to be a lot of people there. They can network if they don't carry any of the sauces that are going to be there. Like I think it'd be cool for either of them to get out here.
Yeah, Brian, I met him at Albuquerque at the Fiery Food Show, and couldn't have been nicer. Like it's one of those things where you see how many, like, not just hot sauce makers, but content creators, reviewers and stuff. And you always have that kind of initial feeling of like, ooh, are they going to be cool? Is it going to be competitive? Super, super nice people. And he was just, I was kind of talking about some of the plans for the heat source. And I was like starting to explain like, well, our podcast is this. He's like, oh no, man, I know. I listen to you guys. And then we had him on for the.
More people listen to you than you think, dude. You were very underselling yourself when you were here in Philly, and I didn't like that. You were saying like, oh yeah, we're trying to get here and there. I'm like, dude, people listen to you. Like I have a meeting, like a phone call with John almost every day for like a 30-minute recap of what we're doing leading up to the festivals. And we were talking today about some of the stuff we are doing for Boston. I was like, yeah, I'm hitting Heat Source tonight. I'm gonna hit Philly. I'm gonna see if we can get on again before Boston. He's like, oh yeah, check, yeah, good, Heat Source, good.
Yeah,
like, he was like,
one of his comments where he's like, oh yeah, when I'm like bottling up sauce, he's like, I got your episode on. And that's my favorite thing. As much as I love getting new fans, when the makers are saying, oh, we have it playing when we're making hot sauce, I'm like, that's just the best to be like, we're in the warehouses, while the stuff's being processed.
I've listened to your hot sauce. I've listened to your podcast, and I don't want you to take this the wrong way, but winding down at the end of the evening, like I've gone, like when I'm doing making my lunch or my meal prep or something, or when I'm like winding down at bedtime, like I'll listen to I'll try and get it in when I know I can actually focus. Like if I'm driving, it's cool to throw on, but if I know I can actually listen, like when you did the barn fire episode, or if you do, if it's somebody that I know that I have a vested interest that does our festivals, I'll make sure to listen to the episode when I can be completely chill and focus on it, because it's an extension of us who does our shows. So I want to make sure they're, represented, and not that you need any vetting, but it's cool. It's like, I want to hear what they say to see if their tasting notes are the same, because I'm a fucking nerd.
Did, because you mentioned, want to listen to the ones of makers that you have at the shows. Do you know, are there any differences in the lineups for the Philly show this year? Like any new vendors that you're excited about joining it?
Dude, it was actually pretty cool for, to put in the work that we've been putting in and seeing it turn into what it's turned into. There's that box up there, Redacted. They shipped me a bunch of sauces and we're doing some videos and stuff together, but the artwork was so cool. I wanted to save the box. They're flying up from Tampa. Like they're coming up from Tampa. Harmacy's coming from Tennessee. We have Long Island Pepper Co. coming out. And I know that Long Island seems like it's close to Philadelphia, but it's not. From my house where you were in Trenton
Mm-hmm.
to Long Island is like 4 hours out to like Montauk area. So for him to drive that's an 6-7 hour drive.
Yeah.
And the majority of them are saying, yeah, we really wanted to do it last year, but we wanted to see how it went. We talked to a couple people, and now like we really want to get it. Now me and John have a waiting list for both festivals, and that's a good
Nice.
problem to have. And for Boston, what we try to do at our festivals, which I'm not sure what other festival people do, but festival people, that's such a shitty way to say it.
They're called festies.
Festies, yeah, festy besties. I don't know how they do it, but what we do is we open the list up first to the vendors that did it last year. We fire off a group email and we take off whoever declines to come back, or if they have a prior commitment. Festivals change dates and change hands all the time. So
Sure.
To be able to message them and say, hey, who's coming back, and have literally 90% of them say, oh yeah, sign us up. And then me and John have to maybe find 5 or 6 new people. And then there's a waiting list immediately. It's a good problem to have, but it's telling us it's the ultimate level of feedback when, because there could be people with a bunch of free weekends. They come out to the festival. It's a good time. They tell their friends, blah, blah, blah. But when the vendors are like clamoring to get involved and be in your shows, that's just telling us that we're running it the right way. And we try to keep the cost down. For Philly, we actually lowered the price. We lowered it by $1. We have it under $10 now. It's $9 to get in. And we extended it to like local artisan vendors and stuff. We're going to branch off into the other backside of the brewery where those barrels were last year, Matt. Remember where the stadium was kind of?
Yep.
We're going to open it up to artisan vendors and stuff like. So it's kind of cool to see it evolve and have people actually asking to do it rather than having to, go and source people.
Yeah, one of the things I liked about the event, and it's something sounds like it's expanding in that way, is it wasn't just for hot sauce makers. Like you had the balloon animals for the kids, where the kids wanted to stick around because they had balloon animals being
He's
made.
Back, dude.
Yeah,
he's coming. He's going to Boston too. We're taking him up to Boston with us.
That's a clutch. Awesome. That's a clutch move, and just diversifying some of the people that are going to be there, so that way when the family goes and it's like, hey, you drag the family with like, I want to go to this hot sauce show, and then they find their own things that they can enjoy at the show. It just helps people stick around more. What's that?
Kyle's balloon guy's going to be there.
For Amir, get out of there.
I got
the fridge. I got the fridge pulled out of the wall. The cat's checking shit out. Get out of there.
Yeah, once Ren came downstairs, that unleashed the dogs. The dogs had got to get their nails trimmed at the groomers today, so they're all whooped because they were riled up.
One of the dogs got Christy right under her eye the other day. I'm like, make sure you tell people the dog did that, because that looks like,
Oh yeah, that's the dogs with their nails just wreak havoc, and then you're like, I have to explain all these scratches, and that we have 2 decently sized dogs that really like to jump up on people. No, I felt bad. It was the first time we used this groomer, and our newest dog, she's only a year old. She's half Great Pyrenees, like 10-20% husky. So she's a decently sized dog. She saw me coming in. She jumped the gate that was keeping her in one area, got to like the front counter where the dog, or where they do all the billing and all that, put her paws up on the counter, and just all her paperwork and all that just went all over the place. And was like, is that an extra fee? She's like, no, you're good. It happens.
You can't even get a buyout, dude. Jesus Christ.
Yeah, it's one of those where like you take your kid to you break it, you bought it situation, and then it's like, oh man, this is going to cost me.
Matt, we're at one of like the big box pet stores. We've got a golden retriever, and they had this huge rack of treats, like right in front of the checkout counter. So like as you're checking out, and your dog's right there, Nova just like lunged into this thing, ate like 3 treats, and the cashier's like, all right, that's $21, please. I'm like,
it's like candy at the grocery store. It's at kid eye level. Your kid's going to tear into it.
They let the dog snatch it up, and they're just like, all right, there's another $7.
Yeah. The strategists behind some of that stuff are evil geniuses.
Yeah. It's like casinos. They don't put any clocks on the walls, and the carpets look like a magic eye if you drop a chip and you can't find it. They're like, let's put all the dog treats a foot off the ground in open packaging.
Oh man. That's good. I've made it a point now where I get really good at distracting the kids where I'm like, hey, do you see that thing up there on the ceiling over there? And then just go zooming past the toy section. It's just like nothing. There was no toys.
Oh, dude, I forgot one of the things I wanted to mention to you guys. So in my town, it's technically Trenton, Hamilton. It's like Hamilton's like a suburb of Trenton kind of thing.
Hmm.
Um, but that is like kind of a gray area. It branches into like the farm territory and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And it's like virtually impossible to get a brewery license out here. Between the insurance and the taxes and the variances and all that stuff, it's virtually impossible. But this company did it and they opened a brewery. Um, I would say maybe 5 miles, maybe like 10 minutes from my house.
Okay.
And it was the first brewery in Hamilton, in Trenton, Hamilton area. And it was like a big deal. Like it was in the paper, it was on the news. And I was like, let's go check it out. Let's go see. Like, it's a local small business. I want to go check it out. I'm as small business as a guy can be. So we go out there and their name is Bent Iron Brewing. So everyone's like, oh, you should collab with them because it's iron, iron. I'm like, yeah, well, so is the vitamin. I'm not going to call Puritan's Pride. Let's see if the beer's good first.
Also, I know that you don't want the bottom of the cast iron to be bent or warped. So it's a really bad,
No,
it's really
yeah,
bad
like this
setup
kind of,
there.
yeah, we got to figure this out. So we went over there, and the second we pulled in the parking lot, I'm like, okay, they could probably fit 300 cars here, and this is on like 10 acres. What's going on here? This is like prime location. And I met with the owner. I was like, hey, I just wanted to say, like, hey, this is awesome. Congratulations. Like, the beer's really, really good. I do these hot sauce festivals. We do Philly and Boston and Saucetoberfest and all that.
Mhm.
If you guys are into the idea, I'd love to talk about doing a hot sauce festival in Central Jersey, like Trenton area. Like, it's a very food culture area, a lot of good pizza, pork roll, all that stuff. And the guy's like, yeah, let's nail that down. So me and John went over there, and in May, on May 17th, we're having what's called the Hamilton Hops and Heat Festival, and we're having a hot sauce festival at a farm brewery. And I'm like, that's gonna be such a good time.
So I wanted to mention because you posted recently on Instagram that you've kind of got your own little like almost like a band tour of hot sauce shows you're going to be at.
And yeah, yeah,
And I saw you got Philly, Boston, the Hamilton Hops and Heat, and then looks like in July the New England Hot Sauce Festival. You'll
yep,
be there in collaboration with John from White House Station.
yep.
Saucetoberfest in August, and then the New York City one, same thing with John there.
Yeah.
So you've got, I mean, I was kind of waiting to the after the first quarter of the year to like figure out my plan, and I'm like, man, I think you're lapping me on the hot sauce events there.
Well, I got to get out in front of it so that I don't double book. The worst thing ever is when you tell somebody you're going to do something and then you can't, and it's like I feel like I get really like on like a personal level, I get bummed if I tell somebody I don't cancel. Like my
Yeah.
fridge is in pieces in front of me, and I'm not. You know what I mean? Like I don't want to cancel ever. So I try to lay it out way in advance.
Mhm.
It was funny last year at Smutty Nose, where they do the New England Sauce Festival. That's held by Spicy Shark.
Yep.
I was up there on a fly fishing trip anyway, so I messaged Gabe, who owns Spicy Shark, and I said, "Hey, I'm in town with some buddies. Can we like swing over to the festival?" And he's like, "Oh yeah, come on over. Like, can you shoot some pictures and like, can we do some um, Instagram like collaborative posts and stuff like that?" So I was like, "Yeah, you're blurry right now, there, Matt."
Yeah, it'll come back into focus.
Okay. All right. Just wanted you to know. So if in case you wanted to fix it. But we went over there. I went with Phil.
Matt
who
just
was
actually looks like that.
I sometimes go blurry.
Yeah, he's a
Usually it
large
requires
guy.
a little bit of Scotch whiskey, but sometimes
He's
lately,
like Bigfoot. When you try to take a picture of him, he just gets blurry.
Yeah, it's like that Mitch Hedberg joke. He goes, "I think Bigfoot is out of focus. That's the problem. He's a large, out of focus monster." I think
Picture's
Bigfoot
fine.
is
He just
blurry.
looked like that. Yeah.
yeah.
But yeah, Gabe was cool about coming out. He's like, "I'll take care of your tickets. Just do some pictures and videos." So we're gonna do that again.
Mhm.
And dude, Gabe's on top of stuff. You send him the form, it comes back in an hour. Like the dude just gets it.
Yeah.
He's such a good guy. And then Steve with New York City Hot Sauce Festival, that's just a whole grab bag of shit because he'll do contests, festival things, and he'll have like luchador wrestling. Then he'll have like the drummer from Shinedown is hanging out there. And like it's just wild stuff. So these guys, everybody does things a little bit different. But to be there with John and sling sauce with him
Mm-hmm.
has been really fun to learn. We just did when we went up to Boston to kind of patch everything up for Trillium and the festival. They did the Rhode Island Hot Sauce Festival.
Okay.
They won Best in Show. But John's like, hey, you want to stick around and like sling some sauce with us? I was like, yeah, let me try some sales. So like I was literally with him and his son, John Jr., slinging sauces, and I loved it. It was so fun. I don't know if I was good at it or not. John said I did a decent job, but I was trying to learn like every hot sauce you sell, you could be like, oh, it's great on pizza, beer. It's good on pizza. It's good with beer. It's good on wings. It's good on. I like it with my eggs and breakfast. So you got to try and like come up with something special for each sauce, and it's kind of like a challenge, you know.
It's when you like, especially when the shows when I have nowhere else to be. It's like, hey, I'm here for the show 2 days. 10 plus hour days. You start to watch the different vendors and the different sauce makers and how they pitch it, and everyone's got their different styles. Some of them are like, they're gonna try it. Some of them really craft those unique. I think Scott from Lucky Dog. He's a auctioneer going off, running you through all the sauces. Like, it is wizard work that he's doing.
That's 5 episodes where we brought Scott up. I was wondering if we were going to get through this one without bringing him up.
He felt attacked this week by me because I put that meme on Meme Monday, the Squid Game meme where it's the little triangle sugar thing, and I posted the elaborate one. He's like, I feel attacked. I'm like, I was thinking of him. He does do elaborate sauces, but like, it's a good thing. It's still, I said, it's one of my my favorite sauces now have just a lot of ingredients sometimes. So
he's a sweet man, dude. He invited me out to the Portland show a few times. He's like, yo, come crash. Like, same thing with me, like with you. Come out, crash on my couch. I want you to come check it out. I want to get out there. Maybe maybe depends on how the summer goes. If they usually do Portland, what is that? October usually they do that.
Yeah, I know it's later. It's past. It's kind of between fall and winter there. I know it's a later one. Yeah. I'd love to get out there. I'd love to go to Portland in general. Like, I haven't been there before.
Yeah, it's a good foodie town. I want to do the Tennessee one too. John and I might venture into doing some Tennessee stuff because I got a lot of roots there.
Tennessee was a fun one. I went there last year. We got like an immediate burst of rain in the first hour, which I think scared people off a little bit. And I had 2 buddies of mine that are not typically hot sauce eaters, and so they did it the first day. They tried their best. They got burnt out, and then Sunday their families were like, hey, are you coming home now? And I wanted to go back, but I was pretty hungover. I was with the Miletta's crew at the bar the night before, so
I've heard about that.
I didn't get to see how the second day went, but it was a fun time, and I would like to go back to the Tennessee one, maybe with more dedicated crew, just knowing like, hey, 2 days in a row. So
I'll go with you in Tennessee, dude. Let's figure that out.
Yeah, that'd be a fun one.
Family out there. I got places we could stay.
Mike's just listening to the list of hot sauce shows, and he's just like, there's so many dude,
to catch up on.
Come
to Boston, Mike. Let's just figure it out. Let's get you in at a hotel room at the Clarion in Canton, and we'll just get you guys in. I want you guys to come so bad because, dude, Matt, it looked like in Philly you were just like, there was a couple times I caught you just standing there, just like looking around, like you were just like in airplane mode. You were just like you were really. I just noticed you just taking it in.
I enjoy it. Like, sometimes I just, because you'll see me trying sauce, but then there's times where I'll just be going booth to booth watching the interaction. Sometimes I'll be recording content on there, and it's just fly on the wall. So when I was a kid, my dad is the ultimate talker. Like, I am the quiet one. He's the talker. He'll talk everyone's ear off. And so I just kind of sit back and observe, and I find my moments to kind of step in. That's kind of what I do sometimes at the show, is that I don't need to be the biggest voice in the hot sauce space going, let me tell you about this sauce. I'm like, what do you guys think about it? What are they?
I love that.
And it's a fun.
The pharmacy do that.
Yeah.
You were at the pharmacy booth, and I was like, dude, this guy, you're like, you're top tier. Like, that was really cool to watch. We were doing a full slice interview, and I'm just watching you. Tyler's like, Kyle, here. I'm like, oh, sorry, I was watching. Sorry.
Matt is fun to watch in public.
It's fun. It was great. It was awesome. It was exactly what I wanted, and that's why I invited you guys to come out.
I don't know how to react to all these positive comments about me. I might have to turn off the podcast.
First time all it
was you. Let me put it the right way. it was a perfect pairing, dude. You were the wine and cheese board of the event. You were perfect to be there. You know what I mean? Like it was perfect because you were watching other people enjoying it, and then you were enjoying it as well. So you
I
kind of,
want that on a t-shirt. I want that on a t-shirt. I'm the wine and cheese board of the party.
Matt, you got to
yeah,
put that as like your little descriptive title on Instagram now. Like
Yeah,
Matt from the Heat
the
Store,
wine and
the
cheese
wine
board of
and
hot
cheese.
sauce.
I'll take it.
Yeah,
It makes it easier too that there's so many makers, and there were some new ones that I got to talk to for the first time, and it was really great. But there were so many
who were
makers
some of
that.
those?
What's that?
Who were some of the ones that stood out that you
Um,
hadn't interacted with?
I think it's Spice Beast, their
Spice
sauce,
Beast, good.
and he's an intense guy. He was talking about how in depth he
Right
goes on
there.
these ingredients. Yeah, that guy. I mean, he can also probably bench two of me, and I'm not a small guy, so
Yeah.
he's an intense guy. The oh man, what's the other one? Revolutionary sauce, is that the one?
Dude, that guy is wild.
Mhm.
His sauces, he has like a mole sauce. He has like a
Yeah,
coffee rub
had a
sauce.
lemon one. He had
Yeah,
the
lemon, pineapple upside down cake sauce.
he
Like,
was one of the. There wasn't a lot of them at the show that did this, but he was one. I went through the whole gauntlet of his sauce, and I'm like, I'm
yeah,
gonna take a lap. I'll be back
yeah.
later, and I just had to like walk it off. You just kind of sweat it out. You got to just focus
So,
on like breathing.
yeah.
So
So to Mike, who you might not know, Revolutionary. So it's he's this guy Tim in Mechanicsburg, Carlisle area, Pennsylvania. It's like way western Pennsylvania. He owns this cool little restaurant. And if you have a restaurant and it's a, USDA kitchen or whatever, you're allowed to manufacture X amount of bottles of hot sauce, and
Mhm.
cleared, but all your sanitation and all that. So the dude's just playing with flavor all the time because he's got the restaurant up front and he's playing in the back, and he'll just come out with a sauce and he'll send it to me and be like, "Hey, I want you to try this. Like, check it out. Like, I can't believe we came up with this. And then we're gonna put it with a burger. We're gonna make a chicken sandwich with this sauce." He's a really, really cool guy. I'm glad you said Revolutionary. And he's the only hot sauce company followed by Shane Gillis. So we got to keep him close to
yeah,
the
Did you
vent.
did you say he had a pineapple upside down cake one?
Yes.
How was that? Did you try that
It's
one?
okay. So it tasted like you got the pineapple flavor, but it had this really savory, like almost like, how when you have a pie crust and you know that it has a lot of butter in it because it's got that like
Yeah.
buttery flavor. I don't know how the hell he did it, but he made it like it was actual pineapple upside. It
yeah.
tasted so good. It's
He
very hard to explain his sauces. He has one that's called, if I could grab it,
well, and
it's
he
called
what's that?
Guavanero. It's guava hot. No one
That's a good
uses
one.
guava, dude.
Yeah.
No one.
The thing I like too is he is full range, like mildest to the hottest. Like you think, okay, he's a mild sauce maker. Like there's a lot in that lower range, and then it ramps up and it escalates really fast. And he's got, I think it was like 12 or 15 sauces he had at that show.
I think he has 16, 15 or 16.
Yeah.
Yeah, let me grab that one. It's literally right here.
Okay, no
Give me
problem.
1 second. Yeah, let me grab it. It's a good one. It's a really good mix.
It
Let's
would have
see
been
what we.
it would have been real good if it's like, what was one of the sauces that impressed you at Philly? And I'm like, there was a Tabasco, real good Tabasco.
One of the
Oh
breakfast
God.
tables. There's a Tabasco. Yeah.
Um,
You know what I think about a lot though.
what?
Oh god, Sam sauce. What one is that? It's like his Tabasco sauce. Repality.
Oh yeah, Repality.
That is still one of my favorite.
He's got
sauces.
another sauce, Trial by Fire, that he just came out with that I gotta get trying.
So this is a strawberry reaper,
Mhm.
which strawberry is. I've only seen John play with strawberry over here. The strawberry yuzu sauce,
There's a
which is
Tennessee one that does strawberry that we've had. Is it Two Head strawberry? Two Heads?
two heads. Yeah,
Yeah.
two heads does one. Yeah, yep.
But yeah,
Oh,
not a
Here's,
lot because it is a tough ingredient to use with all the water content.
here's one. Here's a mad scientist, Frankenstein ass sauce. Look at it, pumpkin and truffle. Okay, you talk about Bowers, right? He had this at Bowers, and I'm very familiar with his brand. I have the whole lineup at my house. I love
Mhm.
it. But I didn't have that one. And I was like, pumpkin truffle. I'm thinking in my head, those are two completely opposite things. When I think truffle, I think on steak or like French fries. And when you think pumpkin, you think like pumpkin pie, pumpkin coffee, blah,
Yeah.
blah, blah. I don't know. Actually, I should look at the ingredients. Pumpkin and truffle, it went so good together. Apple cider, he has yams in this. There's cinnamon, clove, peppercorns, allspice, vinegar, obviously. But just like that, it's so good. I've gone through like 5 bottles of this.
Yeah, some of those ingredients, some of those combinations, you're like, how do they even think of it? And then I look at sometimes when I have leftovers in my house, the combinations of food I say, I'm just going to throw this together and this is a pasta salad. And it's like, there's stuff in here from a cheeseburger that you made earlier. Like, yeah, it's a cheeseburger pasta salad. That's what it is. It's that,
Now
but
that's
with the
what we
ingredients where it's like, all right, let's just mash these together. And I wonder, I know, again, we're going to put the Scott counter on there. I know Scott had certain sauces like that blueberry sauce he did where it was like 27 batches to get the
Yes.
ingredient right. I'm curious on some of these guys, like, is it an immediate thing? Is it like how many
No.
of these take so long and how many batches they've gotten up to? Because at a certain point, it's got to be disheartening to be going through that many batches and not finding that. Oh, it was the blueberry Szechuan peppercorn one that Scott did, where he's like, I had to
Great.
remove an ingredient altogether
Yes.
and then start it back
I
up.
literally have that right in my cabinet in front of me. It's funny. I've had a couple people like to send me test batches of things to
Mhm.
give feedback and tell. Like they'll make like a case and they'll send out test batches and stuff.
Yeah.
I have definitely had my hands on a sauce where I'm like, don't put that out. We gotta figure. I don't know what to change it. I'm not a hot sauce maker, but Jesus Christ, that didn't work. It was just burned me out. I didn't taste anything else that you listed on the label.
That's where it gets interesting. We haven't had it as much. Like mostly established brands will reach out to us where they're pretty much set
they're all
before they
back,
reach
yeah.
out. But it is something where when we early on when we had people, it's like, hey, I'm making a sauce. Can I send it to you? And I'm like, I make sure, like, I don't want to put it on the pod because it's like an official review and hey, the first sauce they ever tried gave it the lowest score on the pod, and we don't score things
They
low.
don't do that.
We don't really score the sauces we try are intentional that we want to promote them. We don't want to be like, hey, the
Right.
lowest score we've ever had. Let's talk about that. It's like unless someone's trying for that title, it's like I want that title of like, hey, the heat source says kind of like Malort in Chicago, where it's like, hey,
Oh my God!
it's
Hot Sauce Sensei just had some of that. Did you see that review?
no, he had Malort.
Dude, you met Sensei. He
Oh
was
yeah,
here, one of the judges. He flew
it's
in from
just
Atlanta. He just did a Malort review. He said it tasted like gym socks that were filtered through pineapple or grapefruit juice.
Malort.
Matt's always trying to get me to try it, but every time we're together, it's like 7 in the
I
morning.
want to try it so bad, but you can't get it out on the East Coast.
So not only do I have, I think 2 or 3 bottles here in Grand Rapids now, there is a Chicago themed restaurant that sells Malort. Actually, 2 places sell Malort now. One sells a barrel aged Malort, which also tastes like Malort. So it's not great. So here's the thing. I like Malort, and this is my description. It is gin that was poured into a pond covered in pond scum that you then took it out at the end of the summer and strained it back into the bottle with a little bit,
all right. So
with a touch of bitterness.
The pineapple or
and although it does look liquid, the mouthfeel is that of a wax candle.
No,
it coats the mouth and you can't get rid of it.
Ew, dude, what the fuck?
I watch videos of like kids that are like 20 something, like, hey, we're gonna try Malort, and they like start gagging as they try it. I'm like, I've done 4 shots of it in like 2 minutes and been like, I'll have another.
Why is it so different? Everyone's review is different. Sensei has one of the best cultured palates I've ever come across.
Yeah.
I've seen him pin shit that's like a very subtle ingredient. Like, is there cardamom pods in this? The guy's like, yeah, I use like a half a teaspoon of cardamom.
Like when they made this, did they open the window and the winds from this region of New Jersey come through? It's like, yeah, I did have the window open for that. How did you know? Was it like a hint of pollen from the proper regions of this mountain range? And it's like, okay.
Yeah. From the semen.
Well, I'm just like, oh, the vinegar's good.
Sorry. There's trees out here. The Bradford pear, they smell like a fresh Friday night.
The Michael Scott. Yep, this is a white.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. But no, Malort is, maybe we'll have to do a non-hot sauce review. There's a Chicago-based hot sauce company that uses Malort as an ingredient, and I need to try it.
Yeah, there was one at the Joliet, and they sold out.
So Spicy Girls did a Malort one, and I know Soothsayer, which we've never tried, and they're Chicago-based as well. They had a Malort sauce as well, and I need to try both of those because
Spicy Girls podcast.
They did do a podcast. They had a podcast for a little bit. I listened to.
Spicy Girls hot sauce, is it?
Yep.
Spicy Girls Pepper Company. Here we go.
I think it's Spicy Girls, like GRRLS, maybe. It's spelled different.
They had a ton of sauces.
They were good.
I remember they had like a full.
Oh, I got it. Here we go.
Yeah. I could honestly, there's quite a bit over in the Chicago, Illinois, and like the greater Illinois area around there where we could set up shop and do like 3 months of episodes easy with the amount of sauce
I just
out there.
DM'd them. I said, Malort sauce?
Yeah.
Hopefully, if they get another batch, I could try it. This is the fire sauce right now.
You let them know. You let them know. Like, yeah, the heat source said they want to try it.
I will. I will.
We do have sauce of theirs. We need to crack open because there was quite a few in Illinois that we liked that we haven't even gotten to tap into yet. So.
All right. Yeah, I'm curious, dude. I always want to learn a new sauce because out here in the East Coast, I'm dialed into about 8 or 10 different brands I really like. But I love learning new sauces, dude, and especially something regional like Malort that you can only get out there. We've talked about it before. What was that ginger ale company or whatever that we talked about last time that Old Time Hockey was always talking about?
Werner's.
Werner's, yeah, that. Like, I have to order that in. Like, that is the coolest. That is so good. And if you could get your hands on that in New Jersey, it wouldn't be available.
That's like Yingling for Michiganders. We can't get Yingling over here.
Have you had it before?
Oh yeah,
it's so good.
Yeah, can't get
it. Did you have the Hershey's chocolate collab with Yingling?
I did not. I haven't had that one. No.
Oh boy, oh boy. Let me tell you something right now. You can't. You have to be at the right place at the right time to be able to get your hands on that.
Huh. Isn't Yingling's Anakin Skywalker's favorite beer? He loves slaying a couple Yinglings. Oh, that's Younglings. I'm sorry.
Younglings.
That was Younglings. My bad.
There you go. Dude, this one right here I want to talk about for a minute. The Aki Amarios.
Yeah. I've been waiting all night for Matt's dad joke.
I had a different one lined up, but I didn't find the right spot for it.
Matt's got a good dad joke, right? Everyone's got a good dad joke in the pocket.
I need to make a compilation of the jokes that we've done at the end because they're always at the end of the episode after the music. I need to do a compilation so people that don't realize that there's little Easter eggs.
Yeah, like he'll always tell me this story, and it's so serious. I'm like, oh my god, this person in the story's gonna die at the end. Then he pulls this, dad joke at the end. I'm like, we'll talk about the sauce here in a second. But one of my favorite ones, and we didn't do it on the podcast. It was at work, and it was you and another employee were in there, and I was like, did you guys hear about like the new barbecue place that's coming in locally? And they're like, no. It's like, yeah, like a former NBA player like actually started this chain of barbecue places. And they're like, oh really? I'm like, yeah, it's a former Laker, the center, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. Yeah, it's Kareem Abdul-Jabbar Barbecue is the place. And they're just like, you can leave. And I'm like, I'll see myself out. That's fine.
I love that.
I think that was the moment I discovered who that was.
Yeah, that's when Mike learned who Kareem Abdul-Jabbar was. So
I had to have him explain it to me.
Wait, you didn't know who Hakeem Olajuwon? You didn't know who that was?
So I can tell you all about the 2005 Pistons. Other than that, I'm not a basketball guy.
2004 Pistons were the championship, by the way.
Dude, you know who's a big, speaking of NBA and hot sauce, you know who owns a hot sauce company that was an NBA player? Stacey King from the Bulls from the 90s.
Really?
Yeah, he's a big hot sauce dude, man. I've talked to him a few times about it. He's got a couple sauces that he does two or three himself, but he's like a guru, man. You should set up an interview with that guy.
Matt, your face is red. I can tell you're upset you didn't know that.
I'm excited. But I am ashamed that I didn't know that because if I were to start a second podcast, it would be an NBA podcast that would be a totally different vibe, and Mike would never listen.
Yeah. So the dad joke that I'm liking right now is, what does a nearsighted gynecologist and a puppy have in common?
A wet nose.
Wet nose.
I heard that one the other day. I'm like, damn, I gotta hang on to that one.
That's a pretty good one.
There's quite a few good ones. I've had a few where I'm like, do I want to change the rating of this episode for certain jokes that I've found?
Dude, as long as we're not openly, like, if you're gonna do a podcast and you're gonna do like the Opus Reels and stuff we talked about, never drink alcohol out of the can. Always put it in a cup because YouTube will automatically flag it if it's out of a beer can or a recognizable beer can. So always put it in a cup, even if the brewery's on the cup. No matter, it's not in a can. You're good.
That's interesting.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's weird. We learned a couple things like that. Like if I did when I was doing the heat meter thing that we were talking about earlier, if I teamed up with a brewery called Other Half, and anytime I had an Other Half can on the table, it got flagged for alcohol and it went right out of the algorithm. So I'm like, all right, well, we're not doing that anymore.
Yeah, because I guess if it's in a glass, even if it's got the company on the glass, you don't can't really definitively say what the contents are.
Yeah, because I could put water in this, but
Yeah.
nobody's going to take a beer can and dump the beer out and put water in the can.
Yeah. I mean,
So
I've thrown a liquor into the bottle of a soda bottle when I was, hanging out with my folks at a fishing trip, and I didn't want to be just openly carrying a bottle of whiskey around.
oh, bad boy Matt here. Oh boy.
Yeah, yeah, real rough and tumble. In the middle of
Yeah,
nowhere
yeah.
of Canada, where legally I probably was a couple years past the drinking age of Canada, but I'm like, I don't want to do this in front of my folks. It was a
Yeah.
real risque move.
Tilting your head the right way into the water, bouncing the sun off of it to attract the sunnies.
I had a buddy that would take a 2 liter of 7-Up and he would fill it full of Four Locos, and I'm like, dude, you're not convincing anyone that that's 7-Up
Dude,
right now.
remember when they first came out before they changed them? Those things were wild.
Oh,
Yeah.
dude, they were like killing people at my high school because they're like, let's see how many we
Dude,
can
there was
drink.
people that died from them. Yeah, you're right. You're absolutely right.
Yeah.
That's crazy. But do you have what's the White House station sauce you wanted to talk about there?
It took the number one position for me. This is the yuzu, ahi amarillo yuzu, and I don't think that there is enough hot sauce companies using yuzu right now.
Okay.
Every once in a while, the companies and the whole market goes through trends and black garlic and mushrooms and all these different things. I think yuzu is a severely underused ingredient, and John and his son Johnny have pinpointed this to be like, I've gone through 3 or 4 bottles of this, no problem. And with the amount of hot sauce we have laying around all over here, it's hard to go through a bottle.
Yeah.
If you look at the ingredients, you literally have aji amarillo peppers, which is a severely underrated pepper. I think it's it's a little hotter than a jalapeno. I don't know if you guys have had an aji amarillo, but it's kind of like the pepper itself has the tanginess of vinegar almost.
Mm-hmm.
Not the afterburn, like that part that hurts your tongue kind of, but like that tanginess. It's really good, and it pairs so good with yuzu with yuzu. There's salt, sugar, vinegar, garlic, a little olive oil, and xanthan gum, and that's it. And xanthan gum is something I don't want anybody to be turned off of. You need to have that so that this doesn't just pour out and doesn't coat anything. The xanthan gum's a natural thing that you use so it coats the food. Like when you put wing sauce on wings, it coats the wing.
Yeah.
Other than that, everything is just grown in a garden or like naturally derived.
We've talked about xanthan gum a bit on the podcast because it is something where you look at it and you think it's something. Yeah, you think it's something much scarier than what it really is.
But it's plant derived, I think.
Yeah.
It's plant derived, absolutely. It's like that big thing with MSG being a big scare. MSG is only a problem because people use it to hide behind. You use it to amplify the flavor of food and change. It's not bad for you.
Yeah.
It's made from seaweed. It was made in 1912 by a Japanese scientist that derived the sodium of like seaweed. Don't quote that, but that's exactly what I think.
No, that's fact. that is 100% fact. As no disclaimers on this one.
I can't wait for this episode to come out with Gravedigger on it. All right, I love the slides. Like
one of the things about the xanthan gum, Sam from Sam Sauce, when he went to Hot Ones, he had to switch out xanthan gum because they don't allow that, and so he did chia seeds. He had to use chia seeds as a thickener. Yeah, which is crazy because it's like it was just a big sticking point they had for him to get on the show. So they don't allow that, which is crazy when you look at the original Hot Ones lineup the first year, where it was just every grocery store sauce you could think of, and then Da Bomb.
Every single thing. I would say up till season 4 or 5, they had just about every xanthan gum sauce out there. Everybody uses it. There's every single sauce that you have here. There's xanthan gum in it, and I have not come across a hot sauce that doesn't use it.
Yeah, I mean, there's some that don't, but then you have you have more watery sauces, or they'll use a lot of a certain ingredient. But some of the ingredients that thicken up sauces also change the flavor, so you can't really rely on just I'll just use this ingredient instead, because then the flavor will be completely thrown off. So
yeah, it changes it a little bit. Yeah.
But yeah, what was I'm trying to think of what was one of the recent ones that had something that thickened it that didn't have xanthan gum, but it can't for the life of me think of it right now. There's too many.
I know people have used cornstarch before, but that's only good for a certain amount of time. It doesn't make it as shelf stable as xanthan gum. I know that.
Yeah.
But I feel like the runny sauces definitely have their place in the world. I'm more of a let's get as much sauce to stick to the food kind of guy. I don't want to be mopping shit up, you know what I mean? So
That was when we had Brian Amazon. That was something we talked about. We are listing off foods, like the best foods for hot sauce, the best vessels for hot sauce, and he disagreed on pizza because he's like it just spills off the pizza, and it does depend on what sauce you use on there because he's a spicy seasoning guy.
no, 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 no. So hot sauce, come on. Dude, I live in Trenton. I'm not going to say anything bad about pizza, dude. Pizza, you can have hot sauce on pizza. You just can't have too much. You got to be smart about it, okay?
Well, now I'm going to disagree. You cannot have too much hot sauce on pizza. You just have to sop it up with the crust at the end on the plate.
All right.
This is where the fork in the road.
Yeah, we
The
might as
fork in
well
the
be
road.
talking
Alright, so
like Detroit style versus Chicago style right now.
Here's the theory. I'm not really worried about the crust though. If I'm gonna eat good pizza and I have multiple slices of different flavors and like I got a black olive and onion pie, but I also got a sausage meatball pie with a little onion on it too. I'm not the crust is going to the dogs.
I'm
Like
so I'm so hungry right now. You just
well,
listed those different topping combinations. I'm like, I'm gonna order pizza tonight. That's just
you
what's
guys have
happening.
that weird upside down, backwards, thick pizza out there.
Oh,
You?
the Detroit style. It's
I don't get
Real
it.
deep
I don't
dish.
understand why the hell they do it that way. It's like let's put the cheese under the sauce and then burn the sauce. It's like, dude, shut
the sauce. The sauce is a weird thing. Like I don't really. I mean, all of the flavors combined, and I'm good with it. But it is weird when you look at it like, so you baked this and then you put the sauce on top in lines. It just doesn't
It doesn't
jive for
make
me.
sense.
I'm gonna be
No.
kicked out of Michigan. I'm not a big Verner's fan. Everyone else is. I call
What does this guy do, Mike?
I call pop soda, which Michigan everyone calls it pop. I call it soda.
Well, that's because it is soda. Let's just be real
Well,
about that.
I think
Pop
it's
is
because
stupid.
part of my family comes from Chicago, so they're based out of Chicago. So I'm a
Couldn't get any worse.
yeah, I know. So it's like I call everything soda. I love a Chicago the Chicago flat style, like the actual like tavern style pizza, and I don't do Verner's.
So,
Dude, you had
I like
pizza that
Fago
was
though. Fago pop, that's a Michigan thing.
yeah,
Kyle,
you and the insane clown posse like Fago. They did. I think when you were out here, we got pizza from a place in Trenton called Icaro. Their pizza's very high rated.
That was really
like
good.
I think Portnoy gave them like an 8.5, if I believe so.
I was just
One
telling someone to go to a Detroit place that Portnoy gave like an 8.7. I think it was Freddie the Pizza Man or something, where the guy was like, he's like, I really don't want the extra publicity. He's like, because I'm not expanding. I make all the dough myself. When the dough's gone, it's gone. And so
that's exactly how it should be, dude. You don't need to expand just because social media lit you up. I mean, it's funny in Trenton, the two highest places that Portnoy rated was Di Lorenzo's and Papa's, and they are across the street from each other.
Well, then it makes it easy. If one's busier than the other, just switch over to the other side.
When Brad came over, he wanted to try, one of the two, and we went to the one place, and I'm not gonna say which one it was, but we went to one of the places, and they're like, "Oh yeah, we close in a half an hour. We're not taking any more customers." And I'm like, literally, like,
yeah,
like, and one of the girls behind the counter was like, "Oh shit! Like we just fucked up. Like you know what I mean?" And then we went across the street to the other one. And in Trenton, we have a thing called mustard pie. It's on all the menus, even though it's not on the menu. Meaning it's something we all know regionally that exists. If that makes sense. You literally lay spicy mustard down on the bread before you put the sauce and the cheese, and it sounds terrible. In all senses of culinary form, it sounds terrible. But when they cook it, the mustard does something with the tomato sauce and some kind of weird thing happens. It was awesome. It was so cool to share that with him. But it was if you guys come out this way again, if you do Philly or even if you do Boston, you come up that way, you got to try it. Mustard pie is like a big Trenton thing.
I mean, I never am one to decline trying a new food. I preach it to my kids and they think that I'm lying, but it's like, no, I tried every food that's been offered. It's something I'll give it a go. Same thing with hot sauce. There might be ingredients that we had certain sauces where it's like, oh, this is an ingredient that I love and it's fantastic. So it was funny you mentioned that they're right across the street from each other, because in Detroit, like the Coney dogs are the big thing in Detroit, and the two
What's on a Coney dog?
What's on a Coney dog?
It's all about the chili.
Yeah.
So the type of chili is what makes a coney dog. So it's
Okay.
like chili cheese onion is pretty much what a standard coney dog is.
Sick.
But like the original coney sauce that goes on the dog was made with like beef heart. So it's
Mm.
like it
Really?
developed from like yeah, more out of necessity. It's like the poor people just got the organ meat. So it's like they were just like all we can get our hands on right now are beef heart. So let's just make this chili. And it's one of those things that just locally caught on and that blew up. Now there's a Coney Island hot dog joint that claims to be, the
You
best
ever
in
have beef
Israel.
heart
Oh yeah.
besides the chili?
Oh yeah.
It's something you need to, if you're gonna stew it, you better start Friday morning if you want it for Sunday dinner, dude. Takes a long time.
That's funny.
But
I eat a lot of this sounds weird and barbaric, but I eat a lot of venison heart. I mean just I
It's
end
not
up shooting like
barbaric. That's cool.
end up shooting like 4 deer a year. But dude, venison heart, if you haven't had that, something I've been meaning to do. I was in Norway and a lot of places had
Bragger.
prosciutto caribou heart.
What?
So
Holy
they
shit!
would do. So I've been looking at doing that with venison, where you
They
like
would salt cure a elk heart
caribou, yeah,
or caribou.
yeah,
Yeah.
caribou,
Okay.
yeah. So and then
That's a French elk.
dude, it was so good. But like I've been thinking about doing that with some of the hearts, where you just you would cure it, and then what you do is you take lard, and then you just cover it in lard, and then let it sit in a cool
Okay.
space for months. And
Okay.
that's how you get your prosciutto heart. But
I'm a
um,
big lard guy, lard and tallow and stuff.
oh yeah,
I'm a big anti-seed oil guys. I'm not sure if you guys ever saw my Instagram
oh
page,
yeah,
but I'm a
I think that was one of either the first or second episode we got into the
seed
tallow
oils.
stuff.
Yeah.
yeah.
The one thing I want to touch back on with the Coney dog, the two biggest, most popular Coney ones in Detroit are right next to each other. There's the American and Lafayette. So if you talk
Right
to
next to
someone
each other.
right next to each other, if you talk to someone from Detroit and they're like, "Oh yeah, you got to try the Coney," they'll be like, "Which one are you?" And they'll say if they're American or Lafayette.
And they're not, are they like super competitive? That's like Philly
Oh
with
yeah,
Pat's and Geno's. The cheesesteak places are right across the street from each other, but they can't stand each other.
yeah. I mean,
That's our
it's a
cheese
full
thing.
on competition.
Wow.
There was
With really?
Keegan Michael Key talked about it because he's from Detroit. He's from Michigan,
Oh, that's right.
and he talked
Okay.
about that where he'll be like, okay, people love. I forget which one he said is the more popular one by overall, but he's like, people love this one more. He's like, but I'm kind of the other one. So he's like,
Right.
it's everyone's got their favorite. So
He's had good PR training. That's all that is.
yeah, it's just like, hey, everybody's a winner, but this is the thing I like.
Very
Um,
cool, man.
but yeah, so um, just touching back on the shows that are coming up, we have
Sure.
you have some more guests that you said you're going to have more guests this year. Is there kind of with the Philly and the Boston show, you've done it for a couple of years now. Is there kind of any certain goals you have out there, whether it be guests or kind of certain expansion you want to do, or what's
Well,
the outlook on that?
so in Philly this year, I wanted to see if we can get some guys from the Flyers and the Eagles and stuff to come out. So
Mhm.
we're in talks with that, which would be cool. Nothing set in stone yet. But it'd be cool to do like a meet and greet, get the sports involved. We're going to be trying to up the amount that we give to charity. John and I take a decent chunk and give that to charity.
Hmm.
We're me and John are big on giving back because John's a good. I don't think I could have picked a better guy to partner with. He's such a kind person. He cares literally about everybody that walks through the door. He cares about all the small businesses. Somebody's going through a hard time, me and him talk about how we can figure out how to make it easier for them and help them and stuff. So we do have the same vendors that we know and love, but like I said, Redacted's coming from Tampa. We got
Hmm.
Long Island coming down. It's cool to see it branching out. We're going to do the eating challenges like we did. I don't know if you remember those from
Oh
Philly.
yeah,
We did the pizza, the wings, and the marshmallows from hell with the friggin' 6 million Scoville extract.
yeah.
Um,
There almost was a full sweep by the one guy that was
Yeah, that
killing
one
it
dude with the curly hair who was wild. I was like, is he able to like make a decision on his own? Because this dude is eating every single part of this. Like, he's gonna do all three.
with a smile the whole time.
I don't get it, dude. He did all three. The marshmallows from hell. Those people. You watch this. You come to any of the shows. You watch the marshmallows from hell. In 1 hour, you will not see any of the people that compete in that. They're done.
Yeah,
They're gone. They're sleeper cells after that. They can't talk. They can't walk. They're just drones.
yeah.
Um, but for Boston, we're looking to get King Daddy out there. We're looking to get Brad to come up. So we'll see if
Okay.
that happens. It'd be really cool. He's got some buddies that are involved in Trillium, and it'd be really neat to see him interact with people. It'd be a full circle thing for me because, as we've talked about before, Brad got me into hot sauce when he made it during the pandemic on the It's Alive episode.
Hmm.
So I've been dying to get him involved. And Boston, I guess the main goal is we want to see if we can hit, 30, 40 vendors. So it'd be really neat to just have just a gambit of people that can just come out and have a good time, you
Yeah.
know? I think the goal is to get people to understand that no two hot sauce companies are the same. I mean, nobody understands that more than you guys, but to have the general public on board with the same thought is what makes these shows really happen.
Yeah, no, that's exciting. I can only imagine the buzz that'll keep growing if you get some of those extra guests on there. But the competitions, I didn't do any competitions at yours because I wanted to focus on recording and covering, and I was able to
Oh, yeah.
record some of those competitions. But I did dip my toes in for 2 competitions at one of the Seabury events on day 1.
Okay.
So I was 1 out of 2. So I'll take that.
That's a sleeper competitor. You got to get more into it.
So here's the thing, Mike has a higher tolerance. I can put the food
I
away
was going to ask
faster.
that. That's so funny you said that. I was going to say, who has the higher tolerance? I was literally going to ask that.
I can do the heat, but I can't do volume or speed.
I can
Okay,
do
so
I can do
that-
volume, speed. I'm trying to figure out because I'll get where that was the thing with the second competition. They did a pulled pork sandwich and it had
Oh,
reapers cut up on it. And it was this whole thing. The heat didn't bother me. I finished the sandwich after the competition.
it
The
was
issue was as I was eating, I felt this like the kind of spot right in like right above my chest, right below my throat, where I'm like it's stuck. And
That's
if I
called your heart.
eh, but I was like, if I could just have a sip of water just to wash it down, not for it to
He's
cool.
doing prosciutto on his own heart.
Yeah, but it was just like, all right, if I force it, then I'm gonna throw up for sure. Not because it's too spicy, it's just I'm eating it way too fast. So I got to get a better method in chewing and digesting it a little bit faster. But the spice, like everyone else, like took their remaining sandwich and threw it in the trash. I walked out and I finished the sandwich out in
See?
the crowd, and I'm just talking to people finishing my sandwich.
Only in competition with yourself, right?
Yeah.
Just like Mike Jacks in Philly. Remember, that was astounding to watch.
Yeah. No, the guy at the Philly show, I was slightly terrified but very impressed.
It scared. I'll be 100% honest with you boys. That scared the shit out of me. Mike Jacks. So Mike Jacks came down from Canada. He's got the world record for the most Carolina Reapers eaten in 30 seconds, in a minute, 2 minutes. He's got the whole gambit. And he was walking around. The thing about him, like in his private life, he's really big on Sega NHL games, which I'm like a big NHL 96 dude. Like I loved that game. We were connecting on that. He's like, yeah, I love that. And we were talking, like he was talking to me like he was just yeah, it's fun. I like to do that when I usually, Montreal or whatever. Yeah. And sat down and ate like 30 Reapers. I was like, what?
Yeah, I didn't get to talk to him at the Philly show, but when I went to Goat Fest last year, he was there he was there as a vendor for most of it. He did do an attempt at the end. And that's Ginger Goat, the hot sauce. It's their event.
Yeah.
It was a cool event. It was only their second year doing it over in Kitchener, Ontario. But I got to talk to Mike there, and
love those guys.
Him and his wife, super nice people, and so
Sweeties.
yeah. So it was good to be able to talk to him because I'm like, I didn't think that he wanted me to interact with him after he ate all those Reapers at the Philly show. So
yeah, they're good guys. They were at New York this past year. And they had like 3 or 4 new sauces. They were one of the first brands I hopped on board with when I was doing the hot sauce tasting thing. And they were like, because I tried to pay everybody. I didn't want any free sauces. I was like, at least let me pay costs, pay shipping, whatever. And they were the ones that were like, no, man, we really want you to, taste it, take it in, try it with different things. Like their mind is just a little deeper than most in the hot sauce world. I really like what Ginger Goat does.
Yeah. So but yeah, I mean, it sounds like the Philly show. I know we won't make it to the Philly show this year, but we got to start talking kind of festival plans for the rest of the year. And if we can't make it out to Boston, we got to at least find a sauce show that we can all meet up at. Or I'm hoping that we can get to the Boston one. We got to start scheduling the arrangements for that.
I really would want you guys to come to the Boston show simply because of the volume it's going to be, but also the quality of the beer. I want you guys to experience that because it's, like what they say, like if you have like Grey Goose or like really high end vodka, you don't get the extra effects.
Sure.
Same thing goes for beer. And that's why we always chose Trillium, because it was just made completely different. I build these kind of tanks for a living. So I see all the process equipment that they have at Trillium. I'm like, God damn, this is like tenfold what everybody else is doing. Not in volume, but just like in like science level. Like you taste their beer and it's just it's different. And you don't get, it's not like, dude, let's come and get fucked up. It's not like that. It's like this is flavor notes. My brain doesn't really understand what's going on.
Well,
And
and
to
the
pair that with field of hot sauce is just something I would love for you guys to be
well,
there.
when we built our scorecard that we do for hot sauce, which we don't talk a whole lot about on the episodes, we just kind of give you the number. But we were
Right.
we looked at Scotch whiskey, how they score things, wine, and craft beer. Like we were looking at all of those because it's all kind of similar things where you're dealing with, a lot of combination of flavors, a lot of time spent with these ingredients to build something that's more than just your standard, because there's standard beer and wine and whatnot.
Oh, for
But
sure.
getting
Stability.
those craft ones is definitely something. But the Boston show, it is something where with the Boston show, that was the first hot sauce show that I ever went to, so it does hold a special place, special place to me, that I do want to keep a connection there, even if we can't go every year. Like one year I think we did like a recap with some of the sauce makers, asking them just to talk about the Boston show. So it does hold a special place, even though it is further away than some of the shows locally. So the Boston one, I'd like to do something one way or the other.
Yeah, it'd be great, and I would love to. I would love to help if I can. Coordinate with getting a spot close to the location if you need help. Like I want you. I want you guys to be there. It would just be content farm for you guys. You'd be running around like crazy.
Yeah, no, that would be fantastic. But yeah, we'll definitely be talking more about this show. We'll help, help promote how best we can for any of the shows you got coming up. And
I appreciate that,
and
boys. You guys
as always,
always,
we, this is, what do we say, this is the fifth
yeah.
episode that we've had you on.
Revenge of the Sith. I think this
Yeah,
is, yeah.
Revenge of the Sith. So I didn't mention it at the beginning, so I want to mention it now, that your socials, castiron_Kyle on Instagram, castironkyle.com. Is there anything else that people, besides the shows obviously we talked about quite a bit, any other things that people should be looking out for right now?
No, I mean, we've kind of restructured Full Slice a little bit. We brought Phil on and we're doing the shorts and stuff. We're really focusing on our YouTube channel. If
Mm-hmm.
anybody wants to throw Full Slice on after they listen to Heat Source, of course. It'd be cool to see what you guys think, because we're kind of we sat down and we're like, boys, we need a niche. We got to figure something out. You guys were one of the examples when we were talking about that. I was like, Heat Source is all hot sauce. This podcast is all this. We are all over the place. What should we be? So I'm like, let's just do things that people are nostalgic about. So we're starting to just touch on that. Like the Monster Truck episode was kind of the birth of the new era of Full Slice.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, other than that, we got if we could hit the dates one more time for anybody that wants to come, you can come to Philly, Neshaminy Creek Brewing, Croydon, PA, March 29th and 30th. That's a 2-day festival, $9 a ticket. Boston's going to be a 1-day show, Saturday the 26th with a rain date of the 27th. That's at Trillium at the Canton location. Listen, Canton location, not the one in this part of Boston or that part of Boston. It's at Canton. It's
you
right
can't
outside.
miss if you go Canton.
Right. And we're going to do Hamilton Hops and Heat at Bent Iron Brewing May 17th. That's going to be food trucks, live music, artisan vendors, hot sauce vendors, free parking. Tickets are going to be $10. That's like a big thing with us. We don't want people coming and paying an exorbitant amount of money. We want you to be able to have your money to give to the vendors, because that's who really makes the shows possible.
Okay. Awesome. Yeah. No, I mean, those sound great. And yeah, we'll post the times and dates and everything as well, and we'll link it as best we can as it gets closer to the event. But yeah, special thank you to Kyle as always. Appreciate everything you do for the hot sauce community, and also you've been a big supporter of the podcast, so we do appreciate that, as well as we've been growing and branching out, and you've been a big part of that, just helping us get in contact with more makers, and even the judges I got to talk to at the show last year. That was great, to just an extra networking ability. So do appreciate that. And
thank you. If you guys want to come and judge in Boston, you got a spot. Just let me know.
Yeah, we'll make sure to try to give you as much notice as we can if we can get out there, just so you can prepare for it. She's ready for bed. My daughter doesn't understand that the podcast might take some time. She's like, you need to come lay down. But
Matt, I don't know if you can tell, but there's a little tiny hand poking you.
Yeah, no, that's just the haunted basement.
Or you're the guy from Scary Movie that puts his hands in the mashed potatoes.
Yeah, I just got an itch. It's my strong hand. but also just to the podcast listeners, thank you again for listening. However you listen, we appreciate you. Follow us on Instagram at the Heat Source Podcast for all updates, and send us a message on there. Email us at theheatsourcepod@gmail.com for any feedback, requests, any other comments. And tuning in next week where we're going to get back into some sauces. The sauces for next week, I'll let you know right now, Kyle. These are hot sauces that were recommended by other sauce makers, one of which was handed to me at the Philly show by our favorite Santa Claus, Lorne from Hot Graham Sauce Company.
Okay. So, what did he give you, Harmacy?
It was not Harmacy. We do have Harmacy we got to do an episode on, but this was one that wasn't at the show. This was one he brought separately to the show.
I know what it is. I bet you I know what it is. Is it Butch's Mole?
Yeah.
Coco Chaos?
There you go. That's the tease. You got Coco Chaos coming in next episode. So
I have that in my refrigerator at work right now. That is a awesome hot sauce.
Here's what I'll say. When we split the sauces up, because Mike's been doing remote episodes lately, we split the sauces up so we have to crack it open, and then you get the smell, regardless if you're trying or not. And it was we both were kind of like, this is different. We've cracked something open and you get just chocolate and the cocoa. Crazy. So yep, that one. And I'll mention this one just because Hook and Arrow, when we won a raffle and they gave us actually I got another cast iron skillet. They also sent Burke's hot sauces, black garlic cayenne. So that's the other sauce we'll be trying.
Very good sauce.
So that's our doubleheader next week's episode of reviews. So
very good, boys.
So yeah, but yeah, appreciate you being on, and we'll talk to everybody else next week.
Anytime, boys. Anytime, guys. Thank you for having me. Why does my head look so big? I look like fucking Walter Goggins, dude. My head's gigantic.
Dude, you want to talk about big heads? The shine that comes off, all the lights in the surrounding area is off because it just gets so intense.
But if we were light bulbs, dude, you'd be an LED. I'd be one of them fucking halogen ones, bro. My head's fucking big, bro. Oh my God. I don't like doing video shit.